Hey guys, I really appreciate all the media coming out today and being a part of this. Boy, when he said going on in my sixth season, that's unreal. I still feel like this is year number one, maybe year number two. I still feel like the new kid on the block, even though at the Sun Belt meetings this year that I was one of the veterans in the room, but it still feels like we just started just a couple of months ago. And but I tell you, but this time of year, I know you're just as excited as I am because I know you enjoy covering the great game of college football as much as I love coaching it and working with these young men. And so this is my favorite day of the year because it's reporting day. It's the day our kids, get here after they've had a great summer. They go home for about 4 or 5 days and they come back, minds refreshed, bodies renewed, and anxious to get started. And we get a chance as a coaching staff to put this whole team back together every year because it's a new team every year. About 33% of your team changes every single year. And so it's a great opportunity to see what we can do in the next few weeks. I was putting down some notes and things that I just wanted to mention because I've already said a lot of things at the media day at the Sun Belt Conference meetings. But, getting back, first day of camp, this is what it means to me. Chance to play and coach this great game of football that makes a difference in this country. Not just on our campus, not just in the lives of these guys, but around the country. And so many people follow this game, whether it's college, high school, the NFL. And I'm just very proud to be a small part of this great game that we play. And getting started today, the players move in the dorm. Coaches, we move into the dorm. I move into the dorm. I'll be staying tonight in room 407 in the dorm tonight. Can't wait. I stayed in the dorm 5 years as a player, and always look forward to going back and staying with the guys during camp. And when I go around, check curfew, getting to jab with the guys a little bit, see how they're doing, and just be up close and personal with them, and especially a lot of the young guys. Their eyes are about that big around because they're going into their first camp and they have no idea what to expect. Then, for the next 2 weeks, we're eating every meal together. We're in the dorm together. We're in meetings together. We're together from 6:30 a.m. till about 9 p.m. all day long, and that's always an exciting time. A lot goes into this season. So first of all, I feel like our coaching staff has done a great job recruiting and answering the needs that we feel like are addressing the needs that we needed to address. Defensively, much deeper football team than we were at this point last year. If you looked at the production we lost, and if you look at the production we have coming back, and that's not even counting guys like Simeon Thomas that didn't even play last year, and now the addition of 7 or 8 junior college defensive transfers that add immediate help and depth to your team that wasn't on the team last year. Our depth is totally changed. I think our D-line depth is the best it's been since we've been here. You look at key players like Otha Peters, Savion Brown, Tracy Walker, Taboris Lee, Ladarius Kidd. All those guys have been in a lot of battles. They're battle tested. And then we got a lot of other guys with the Travis Crawfords of the world that's played an awful lot. Dom Jones. All those guys have battle tested, been in the fire. Then we have a plevy full of young kids and junior college transfers that go with those. So excited about the defensive depth. Then you look on the offensive side, you got Elijah McGuire back for his senior season. What an opportunity for our fans to show up at Cajun Field to me and see one of the best running backs in the country, and he'll go down as one of the best running backs in Ragin Cajun history. You get a chance to see him every Saturday. And then our offensive line, who I think before the season's over will be one of the strong points of our team. You got Robert Hunt's going to be a redshirt freshman. Right now is rolling in at 6'5", 320. As athletic as any lineman we've had since we've been here. He's Michael Quave, but bigger. And so, and that's a huge compliment to Michael Quave. He's the most athletic one we've had. And so I'm excited about what that group can do. I'm excited about our wide receivers. We're tall, we're long, we've got good speed, great hands. They're very young, but they play with a ton of excitement. They're only going to get better as the season goes along, and they're going to be led by a veteran and Al Rouse, who I think is going to do an exceptional job leading those guys, as well as Eddie Gordon leading the charge at the offensive line. And then running back-wise, Jordan Wright will obviously play an awful lot with Eli. He has had a phenomenal summer and spring. Excited what he can do along with Darius Hoggins, and he's a guy that has been helping us a little bit. I think this has a chance to be his breakout year, so I'm excited for him and the rest of a lot of the young freshmen who we think are very, very talented. Then that leaves quarterback, and to say we only have one good quarterback, that would not be the case. I really feel like we have three very talented quarterbacks, and Jalen Nixon, who's already played here and played really well. He's a guy that rushed for 200, passed for 200, and won game last year. Then you've got Jordan Davis, who we all saw his skill set last year in the game and a half that he played, just a redshirt sophomore. So his upside is tremendous, can run and throw. And then you've got Anthony Jennings, a guy that started 13 games in the SEC competing in the room too. And so we're excited about that room. All three of those guys are very talented, anxious to see them at practice and see how they compete and finding a role for each one of them. So we're looking forward to that. Tight end-wise, Nick Byrne returns at tight end, a veteran guy that's played a lot of snaps, that knows this system inside and out. That'll be a big plus, having a veteran guy like him back there, along with some very talented kids behind him. So we're deep at the tight end spot. The spots I'm excited about, since I worked with the special teams, is this year or last year at this time. I'm talking about a punter who had never played American football and a true freshman kicker. Now Stevie Artigue returns, a year under his belt, and then obviously Stephen Coots returns at the punter position. I think he'll have a chance to be the best punter in the Sun Belt and one of the best in the country. There is no one, and I repeat, there is no one that works harder than Stephen Coots. And that is a statement you can put in a box. I'm not afraid to say that. So his work ethic alone, with his strength and his ability, I think before it's over, he's going to be a very special player. So a lot of players I could talk about. I don't want to leave any of them because they all have worked hard this summer, have changed their bodies. You got guys like Tyrone Posey. When you see him, you're going to be like, wow. Look at Eddie Gordon. Look at some of these guys whose bodies have completely changed. That's really going to give them a chance to play at a higher level. It's so many guys that have changed their bodies, that had great summers. And we just, as coaches, can't wait to get started. A couple of notes to also mention is Jesse Freeman will not be returning. Jesse Freeman will not be returning on the offensive line. Sometimes when you're stuck at certain spots on the depth chart, you don't like where you look. Sometimes that happens, but he will not be returning, and as well as Ethan Rose. And so those two will not be returning. But everybody else had a great summer of summer school, great workout, so really excited about that part of it. For us, you're always looking for a theme every year as a coach. What's your theme? What's your message? Well, for us, our theme and message from the beginning has been, the best is our bar. The best is our bar. And we're going to set the bar very high every year, and not just on the field, but off the field, in the classroom. That's one thing that I'm really proud of, is not only the way our kids have performed on the field, but off the field also, with our team GPA, team graduation rate, the relationship we have with the faculty and the teachers here on our great campus. So these guys have really been great ambassadors for this community, and especially for our university. When guys like Elijah McGuire, Otha Peters, just guys that just do things the right way, and so been excited about all those things too. But we're going to take it one practice at a time, one game at a time. We will follow this process of trying to get better every day. and the competition that we're going to have at every position is going to do nothing more than force guys to get better every day. And that's the thing that pushed me more. And that's the thing that still pushes me every day is competition, is trying to get better. And our coaches the same way, and it trickles down to our players with the way we're going to compete, the expectations we have for them, but the expectations that they have for themselves. And we've got some players that have some lofty expectations. And if you're not dreaming big for us, if you're not dreaming big, then you don't have the right type of dreams at night. And so we're excited about the upcoming season, but we're like I said, mostly we're excited about getting on the practice field tomorrow. That's the most exciting. We're probably excited about. A couple things real quick. You notice on the side I had them bring in the uniforms. A couple of small tweaks to the uniforms this year with the shoulder stripes. Now, that's one thing that I probably was an equipment manager by heart growing up. Love how everything ties in together with the 2 stripes on the helmet, 2 stripes on the sleeve, 2 stripes on the pant. I'm a straight line type guy. Now I think this is very clean, very good look. And then we have a couple of other uniforms. Obviously, we may or may not break out this year for certain games, but Adidas has been a great partner and have done a lot of cool things for us that we hope to break out this year in certain situations and certain games that hopefully will bring a little spark to our team and maybe our fans, and obviously even help in recruiting because that's what they like. So with that being said, we're excited to get camp started. I know you're excited to meet with a bunch of our guys on our football team. You'll notice they got a spark in their eye. They got a good look about them right now, and I think you'll enjoy spending time with them. So with that, I'll open up any questions, and then we'll move forward.
Dave,
go ahead, Dave.
When do you expect to have a QB name? Whether you tell us or not, but when do you?
Boy, that's a great question. The sooner the better, because starting out they'll share some reps with the ones, but the sooner one guy can get more reps with the ones, obviously the better. For us, we're going to play a lot of players, which that will help, but we would like to get to that sooner than later. Too early to tell. I always know after the first few days. You can always maybe tell, and we'll sort of see if my intuition holds true after the first couple of days, if somebody really comes out of the gates really fast. And not just performing, but understanding the scheme, picking up the offenses, not making mistakes, taking care of the football. All of those things are all important, not just making plays. We can't make one great play and then turn the ball over. We've got to take care of the ball, manage the game, and then also make plays too. Those things are important.
Do you feel that Jordan, Anthony, and even Jalen in the mix have a similar skill set to where with the new offensive coordinator, regardless who maybe separates themselves in the offense, at least in your ideal situation, will stay the same and won't deviate?
That part will be much easier this year. Last year, it had to fluctuate a little bit because both quarterbacks had different skill sets. This year, all three can run, can throw. That part will make it easier, just plugging in the right guy.
When you talk about Jennings in particular running the offense, are you talking more out on the field or?
Oh, both. You would like for him to be able to answer questions in the quarterback meeting room when you're on the board and the coach is asking you questions. You want to be able to reel off your keys. You want to reel off your IDs, all those things, and then you want to see it carry over to the game field or to the practice field. It all starts in that meeting room and then moves to the practice field to drills, and then ultimately to scrimmage situations.
Coach, just talk about how big of a sigh of relief was to get Elijah McGuire back for one more year, and how you think he's going to help out again.
Well, anytime you get an Elijah McGuire back for another year, that's always exciting. And I think he knows that this was the best move for him academically, athletically. I think it's really going to pay off for him in the future. And he loves this university. And you know what? We talked about it, leaving a mark. He's got a chance to leave his mark here. And he would have left a mark if he'd left a little earlier. But that mark could be much bigger if he has another great season this year. So that mark could get little bit bigger.
Talking about the quarterback situation, was it something you saw from Jalen? Because I know the staff entertained possibly playing around with where he would be in the backfield. Was it something you saw in his preparation? Why has he kept himself in the quarterback?
Well, one, we talked about maybe looking at him at running back in the spring, but he had the foot injury. And so he didn't get to do that. And, to play running back, that's easy to hand the guy the ball and just say run with it, But when he's got to learn to pick up protections, scan, ID linebackers, and the fundamentals of making those blocks, and then all the footwork, that makes it a little more difficult than really what it sounds like. Not to say that could not change and he couldn't do it, but he's already been successful in a lot of areas, especially at Wildcat. Not Wildcat, but a lot of the Wildcat plays he's ran. So I think he's going to have a role, and we need him to have a role on this team because he showed great leadership this summer, and he's tough, and he's a football player, and that's what I like about him. He could play defense if we needed him to. He picks up things quickly.
Coach, I know every year is unique, but the way you handled naming a starter quarterback last August, did that inform how you might do that this year, whether it's internally or with the media?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if there's a exact science. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you want guys to keep competing all summer. You name one guy and he sort of relaxes, I got the job, and now I'm just going to cruise all summer and go water skiing. Sometimes you want them to compete. But then sometimes in the summer, you may want a guy that you feel like is not going to do that, is going to take the bull by the horns and be that leader this summer too. And but in this situation, it's just I wasn't ready to make a decision because you've got a guy back in the spring who'd never started a game. We felt like something like this may be on the horizon, and so it had been bad to name him a starter back in May, and then Anthony comes in. I say, well, I named your starter, but you're not starting no more. That wouldn't have been the right thing to
Well, I
do.
guess what I'm asking is, what about in fall camp? Is it important that the team, the players, that they know at a certain point?
Yeah, and just like the coaches. Well, I would like to know really quick. Yeah, I would like to know after the first week. Will that happen? That's the $1 million question. That's what y'all get paid to answer. So, yeah.
Coach, do you have any experience with a position like quarterback, potential starting quarterback coming in, so no matter how experienced he is at this level or not, just joining so late?
Quarterbacks, great quarterbacks. Now, however it works out, can handle it. Freshman quarterbacks, a little more difficult. Guys that's been in the mix that have learned systems before, that are more mature, have a better chance of doing it. Is it more difficult? You're exactly right. And it's not, to me, it's not just learning the scheme. It's the other quarterbacks have been running with Coach Lou chasing them all summer long and screaming at them all summer long. And so, he hasn't had that strength and conditioning program all summer that our guys have had. So the conditioning part puts him behind the 8 ball just a little bit early until he can sort of get caught up in camp as the 5 weeks of camp rolls along. So the conditioning part, picking up the offense part, all of that are things we'll have to wait and see. But I think his maturity level will aid in that process much more than if he was a freshman.
Sticking with the quarterbacks, is Weaver still not?
Yeah, Weaver at this point will not be returning, correct.
I know we've talked a lot about guys like Al and Gabe, but the guy kind of thrown into the mix this year, Jared Johnson. How do you see him kind of fitting into the offense, and how's he doing need-wise?
This summer he was 100%, so if we can keep him there, he can be a big difference. And, he really found a role for us 2 years ago, and he was a weapon in the red zone. And he's a senior. He's got his act together. Matter of fact, he just got married to his wife, and he is a family man. He's a guy that's very responsible, never on a list, handles his business. And so I'm anxious to see if he can really help our team, and I think he really can.
Chris?
Okay.
Coach, can you just give us a little, insight on what you expect from Trey Granier?
Trey Granier is going to bring more of the same. And what Trey Granier brings is toughness, a will to do things the right way. He is a team player. He is the best special teams player that we have had in a while. And he is on every team. He takes a lot of pride in being on special teams, and he brings a toughness to our team. And so I'm a big fan of Trey Granier.
Coach, when you went about
Yeah, we talked to both of his coordinators. You know, he's gone through 2 coordinators. Both coordinators, everybody that's basically been a part of him, and they just pounded the table for the guy. Just they couldn't say enough positive things about not only his character, his work ethic, his talents, and then, you know, another thing too is a big sign to me of his character is how he handled last year. You didn't see him flaring up and just bitching a fit about not being the guy last year, and that's hard to do. And a lot of guys in college football don't do that. And so I think he'll be a good fit for our team because we have a team of a lot of guys with great character, and I think he'll fit in. If he likes to work, he'll fit in here. Not everything that we found out is he does.
Coach, obviously you've had Simeon for a couple of years now, but he hasn't been able to get on the field for you and make plays for you on the defensive side of the ball. How much has he changed in the last couple of years compared to the player he was 2 years ago, and now he's finally eligible and he's going to be able to make an impact?
Yeah, when you take a guy that probably 2 years ago weighed 160 and he was 6'3", 160, now he's 200, maybe 205. He is a different animal. And he's a guy that's not afraid to hit you. He will bring it. He's a confident guy. He has shown flashes, and, you know, we hadn't seen it really a lot in games because he hasn't played a lot. But what we see in practice, he has a chance to be one of the best corners that we have had here in a long time.
Coach, during you brought up Coach Lou a minute ago. How were off-season workouts different this time around, maybe from a philosophy standpoint, and how do you expect things to be different this fall with a new strength and conditioning coach?
I think one thing is they put a bigger emphasis on individual player development. That was one of the things that we noticed the most. So if a player, he may be a certain position, but he worked out differently than the other guys at that position based on if he was a guy that needed to gain weight, lose weight, increase a certain aspect of his body, whether it's poor lower body strength or poor upper body strength. And so it was a very individualized approach to the off-season program. And I think that's why we had certain guys make such huge gains, whether in weight gain or weight loss and strength. Sometimes you can work out the whole group as a whole and get what you get, but when you work them out individually on individual basis with individual profiled workouts, then sometimes you can really change some guys' bodies. And when you see some guys that looked a little different in the spring or last fall, you'll be like, man, you've dropped some weight, haven't you? You'll notice some of these guys in the interviews. Really like the look of our team right now. They're pretty confident. They've got a good look in their eye, like I said, and man, they're just excited and ready to play the game.
Speaking of confident, I couldn't help but notice Elijah McGuire at Sunbelt Media Day, usually kind of a reserved guy, just not cocky, but very confident in himself.
Yeah,
Has he changed this offseason, and how does that maybe round him out of being the leader, not only on the field, but maybe vocally that's been missing?
Well, of course, you're talking about Elijah, and is he becoming a more vocal leader, confident guy? Elijah's always been very confident. Now, he may not always tell you that he's confident, but he walks around with a little bit of swagger. Anytime you're a two-sport Division I athlete, you got to have a little bit of confidence. But he is such a, on the outward side, very humble, great representation of our team, of our university. But he's turned into more of a vocal leader. We saw that this summer, and I think we'll see that even more in the off season. So fired up about that guy.
I think last year you practiced mostly in the afternoon. Are you practicing in the morning? Is that because of the first game, or what was the change for practice?
Just every morning, I think we're at 8:45. For one, just, we want to be out in the hottest part of the day, and in the morning it's pretty hot. It's hot here. I'm just kidding. It's hot here year round, so you can just choose when you want to practice. But just as far as our schedule and the best setup, it wasn't because of the early game. But we will be going in the mornings and late in the evenings on the days we have two-a-days. Yep.
Coach, would you say there's anyone leading the battle at right guard, and how important is it for that position, the whole offensive line, to stay healthy this year?
Yeah. Adrian Goodacre will get the snaps with the ones on day one. Christian Cedarquest, the junior college transfer, will roll with the twos, and he knows he's got an opportunity to win that position. But Adrian Goodacre has changed his body. This is one of those situations where you have a complete win as a program, and this is what makes coaches feel feel like what they do is worthwhile, because we took Adrian Goodacre 3 years ago, and boy, he has had his struggles, and the guy has turned into one of the premier kids on our team. He's bringing young kids on tours around our complex. He just looks so clean, looks sharp, and he's just turned into a community service guy that's always involved around the community. Man, I tell you, just see where he's come from is amazing, and so I'm really proud of him.
Two more questions.
How do you prepare the guys for an 11 a.m. football game?
Well, one, and mental clock part of it, the early practices we have, which not all that reason, will help getting your clock and your motor started early. And then we'll have some of our scrimmages will be at 11 o'clock, so we'll scrimmage at those times. And, a lot of that is getting your motor ready to play at 11 as compared to 6 p.m. And sometimes in the evenings, you've got to get your motor ready to play at 6 p.m. too, because that's hard to manage also, because you sit around all day and get sluggish. And so it's always a plan, and there's a science behind it where you try to get your team ready at the right time. But more importantly, you've got to practice at that time some too. And so that'll be a challenge for both teams.
What are your thoughts about playing at 11 a.m.?
I'm just excited that the game's on TV. I'm excited that the game is picked up by a major network. We get more exposure. We could play it any time. We're excited for opportunity to play Boise, a great program that has had a lot of success in the last 15 years, and we're excited about them coming to Cajun Field. We went up there, and they've got a great home field advantage. I hope our fans will make Cajun Field a great home field advantage, and I know they will. It's going to be a great crowd. Season ticket sales are going really good, so they better get out and get them quick, because first 3 games are at home, and you're talking Boise. Then you come back with the old nemesis McNeese, first conference game, South Alabama. It's going to be some phenomenal crowds at Cajun Field, so better get our tickets now.
Okay, Travis.
Given last year's record, does the approach or the attitude towards training camp change at all, or is it kind of keep it status quo?
As far as what, say it again?
As far as just confidence-wise, or is just the approach to training camp, given last year's record, kind of?
No, the training camp is training camp. Now, obviously, we got a theme, and we've got goals, and we've got things that we want to accomplish during camp. The way we're practicing a little bit different with the times. You always are tweaking some things with the repetitions, the time you're out there, meetings and all that, trying to be as efficient as you can possibly be. But, camp is camp, and it's about hard work. It's about every day coming to get better. It's about competing every day. It's about fundamentals. It's about learning the scheme. It's about having a great attitude. It's about having fun. Every night we'll have a team meeting in here, and we'll have a little fun with the guys too. And so, man, I love camp. This is my favorite time of the year. So we're anxious to get started.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you very much,
All right.
Coach. Coach
Yep,
Melvin's
thank you.
coming up here.